The last episode you were on, we talked about baseball, specifically amateur baseball and amateur sports, youth sports and all that, which you're 100% an expert of. As a matter of fact, they call you here. This is something that happens all the time. Like you're like the godfather of amateur baseball in Middle Tennessee. Like it's all revolved around, well, it is what it is because of what you've done. But, a lot of the music industry landscape, gosh, I mean, you and former guest Charlie Monk, the legend Charlie Monk, I mean, you guys did some things that literally changed the landscape of country music.
Well, Charlie he didn't get nearly enough credit. They called him the mayor of Music Row, but that was done by the people that were there. They knew the tremendous influence he had and the impact he made on the music industry, not just a few lives. Mm-hmm. I mean, Charlie is directly responsible for Aaron Tippin, Kenny Chesney, and most notably Randy Travis. I mean, those careers don't happen if there's not a Charlie Monk. Mm. I mean, that's not an opinion; that's a fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked a lot, or he talked a lot on the show that he did with you about authenticity. Mm-hmm. And Charlie had an uncanny ability to actually see someone and decide if they're authentic or if they're a copy of something. Mm. And so I learned everything, I won't say everything, but pretty much my philosophy when I was attacking the music business, to the way we went about it, to the people I knew, everything kind of came from Charlie Monk in a lot of ways. Mm. I don't think I give him enough credit, but in hindsight, after talking about doing this show, Charlie really, really had a huge impact. Mm. You have different ways of attacking business. Our deal was we would try to find this person we think is going to be a star. They're authentic, and develop a relationship before they make it. Mm. And then when they do make it, and we're betting on them to make it or not to make it, if we're right, we cash in. If you don't, well, you still had an opportunity to try to help someone.
Absolutely.
So that was just our philosophy.
So there's two types of business, that we say. There's people that are extremely transactional, and then there's people that are relational. And, I've always believed in the relational part of it. That's the joy I get out of doing business, aside from the monetization factor. But people could say that's kind of where I learned it, right? So check it out. A lot of the amazing guests that we've had, whether it was Charlie or Charlie Monk or Charlie Chase or Bobby Pinson or Danny Myrick, I mean, all these music business people ask me all the time, how'd you get them? I'm like, well, Dad just sent a little request for me. It was pretty easy. And here's the thing, even this town has grown a ton, and there's so many new transplants. I still can't go anywhere in this town where they don't know Dad.
Well, I guess it's those pictures at the post office. Not sure about that, but I really have had two completely different, separate careers, and very few people from the music business relate me to baseball, and very few people in baseball relate me to the music business.
What? I want to kick us off real quick, because you're exactly right. It's rare to have sports and arts people that can do both. Usually are really good at one or the other, or you do one and don't try the other, or don't like the other, right? So right. I want you to kick us off with just one random, because you did this at the highest level. I mean, you literally worked with everybody. Kick us off with just a story to kind of set the tone here.
Well, the first one that comes to mind, just because his notoriety, is Garth Brooks. And Charlie, I thought, was making a contact for me to get Garth on a compilation album that he and I were producing. The funny part about the beginning of the story is, though, when Garth shows up at the studio, I didn't realize that he had been writing for a long period of time with Kent Blasey, and between the two, they wrote If Tomorrow Never Comes and Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, all of these big hits. but they were conspiring and writing in my writer's rooms at my office. But Kent Blasey wrote with 50 guys, and quite honestly, till Garth became a name that's noteworthy, it was just this guy. So when Garth walks in, I say, "Hi, Garth, Mickey Hyder," and he goes, "Well, yeah." And it suddenly dawned on me that Garth remembers meeting me, but I don't remember meeting him, which was a little bit awkward at the time. So the rest of the day, I constantly picked at him as if we were old friends. And the punchline really for the whole story is once Garth got through singing his part on the album, he's leaning over my shoulder listening to the playback. And he says, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Oh, it's good, but you're no Garth Brooks." Well, nobody laughed until Garth laughed.
Sure.
But soon as he did, everybody cracked up. So that was the punchline for the day and my big time with Garth. Although we've bumped into each other since then. I was playing in a golf tournament. And I'm walking down the 9th fairway, and he's on about hole 2 or 3 on a green. And, you know, when you're playing golf, you don't want to bother anybody. And, I mean, I think the world of Garth. But I'm going to walk right by him down this fairway, and I'm almost by thinking I don't want to bother him. And he goes, "Well, hey, Mick, big time. You can't stop and talk." And so, excuse me. And I go running up on the green and shake his hand and all that. But he is just that guy.
Yep.
He's that guy.
That's so
authentic. Gets back authenticity.
That's right.
There's one Garth. I mean, like him, love him, hate him, whatever. He's authentic, and that's who he is.
And you always said, when you know, as a businessman, when Garth decides he wants something, he gets it every time.
He does. He really does. I'll have a brief story about a guy by the name of Jimmy Bowen, but Jimmy Bowen was the head of Warner Brothers. That wasn't big enough for him, so he goes to Capitol. I mean, he was running the music business in a lot of ways until Garth signed at Capitol. And Jimmy wanted Garth to do X, Garth would do Y. He wanted him to do A, he would do Z. I'm just saying. And but it worked for Garth. The part that not unlike maybe this past election where you connect with people, Garth connected with people because he would stay after the concert sometimes as much as 7 or 8 hours after the concert's over to make sure everybody got an autograph or a picture or whatever they were standing there for. And that connection with the grassroots made him Garth Brooks. And the week before the story I told about producing him, he did a 1 million person concert in Central Park.
Yep.
1 million people at one concert? When does that happen?
Not very often.
I mean, that's historic, to say the least. So, but that comes back with him connecting with his fans and being authentic and being who he is.